Yeah. D.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, April 1st. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. And we begin with some breaking news. Just moments ago, the Padres kicked off opening day with a big win. For the team, for the fans, for the businesses around Petco Park, things are off to a great start. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer is live outside Petco Park, where expectations were high for today's game. Jacob.
Thanks, Maya. The San Diego Padres began their 2021 season today, welcoming fans back into the stands for the first time in over a year and a half. Last year, they came in second in the National League West, and optimism is high amongst fans. In today's game, the Padres won 8-7, propelled by home runs from outfielder Will Myers and first baseman Eric Hosmer. I spoke earlier in the day with season ticket holder Mario Rodriguez, who has been a fan since 1972. He was one of the fans who watched the opening day game inside Petco Park.
Yeah, Padres! Number one, baby!
Being that some of the fans aren't going to be able to come in here, you know, I feel good. I feel lucky. My seat's waiting for me. My seat's right there waiting for you. It has my name on it, and I earned it.
Yeah!
Today's home opener against the Arizona Diamondbacks only allowed for 8,400 fans because of COVID-19 restrictions. That's causing sky-high ticket prices, which have ranged from $200 to $2,000, with season ticket holders getting priority. But for Padres fans who can't get into the ballpark, like Glenn Favor, opening day celebrations extended beyond Petco.
We needed to be here. Even though we're not in the park, it's okay. You know, we're still amongst the Padre fans, and we're still together. And you know, it's not just, you know, a game to us anymore. It's a annual tradition for us, and we needed to be here.
For those who got seats inside Petco Park, rows have been blocked off and seats were grouped in pods, and fans didn't have to line up at concession stands, but ordered food and drink from an app. As the season goes on, San Diego could see more fans back at Petco Park. Under the county's orange tier restrictions, 33% capacity could be possible. In yellow tier, that number moves to 67%. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
An estimated 400,000 more San Diegans can sign up for shots now that COVID-19 vaccinations are open to Californians age 50 and older. But that does not mean everyone who wants one will be able to get one right away. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman says this weekend there's a push to vaccinate a community hit hard by the pandemic.
It's been challenging to get these appointments, and so that's why we're making it really easy, especially for a community that where the digital divide exists. People don't have as much access to the internet if they have a computer at home.
In Barrio Logan, volunteers, including former San Diego City Councilman David Alvarez, are going door to door, telling residents in a community hard hit by the pandemic about a pop-up vaccination event this weekend that's targeting those in the 92113 zip code.
A lot of people have heard a lot of information, maybe misinformation, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. Some people are like, well, I still don't qualify, even though they do. Family Health Centers of San Diego regularly does up to 800 vaccinations at its Logan Heights site, and it's partnering with American Medical Response to do even more there this Saturday.
So we're hoping to vaccinate up to 2,000 people, focusing on people living here in the 92113 zip code, so Barrio Logan, Logan Heights area.
Dr. Sandra Cervantes with Family Health Center says there has been some hesitancy to get vaccinated, and she's been fielding questions like if there were people of color in vaccination trials.
There has been a lot of racism in healthcare over the years, and so it's natural that there would be some skepticism.
Now all vaccination sites countywide are taking appointments for those 50 and over, no questions asked.
And then we're excited that in 2 weeks, we'll expand that even bigger.
That's when all Californians 16 and over become eligible. The governor says vaccination supplies will be increasing by then, and locally our supply has increased by 25% this week.
I wish it was 50% higher, but 25% higher is much better. That's the biggest jump we've seen.
Right now, officials aren't predicting an increase for the following week, but Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says that could always change.
We are encouraged, and we think we are headed in the right direction. If you remember at the beginning, we had big amounts, and then we had significant shortages. And so we had tremendous instability week to week in what we're getting. That seems to have stabilized, and we're generally headed in a flat or upward trajectory.
Just at the 30 or so county-sponsored sites, officials estimate they are currently delivering around 12,000 daily doses. That's not counting vaccinations for the military, veterans, or some other providers. Those in the 92113 zip code need an appointment for the vaccination event this Saturday and have to meet current eligibility requirements. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And as more and more people get their COVID vaccinations, the county says we're also making progress in moving toward the less restrictive orange tier. At today's news conference, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said the county's COVID numbers remain stable. The issue now is the amount of vaccines that have been administered statewide. The number needs to reach 4 million, and then Fletcher says if our numbers continue as they are, we should be able to move quickly out of the red tier we're in now.
Once we hit that 4 million, then the tier numbers revise, and San Diego at that point would be eligible to descend into the orange tier. So perhaps as early as next week, but again, we are headed in the right direction.
Fletcher congratulated San Diegans for continuing to abide by safety protocols. But with this being opening day at Petco Park, along with places like Legoland expanding their reopening, he asked everyone to continue to do their part to help us move to that orange tier. Will the Chargers be up for sale? The sister of owner Dean Spanos hopes so. She filed a petition in LA County Superior Court today arguing that mounting debt has imperiled the family's finances and the only solution is to put the team on the market. D. Spanos Berberian alleges the trust's debts and expenses exceed $353 million, and the trust doesn't have a plan to pay more than $22 million it has pledged to charities. When the Chargers moved in 2017, they faced the daunting task of paying off a $650 million relocation fee to the NFL. Ahead of Easter Sunday, a program to bring COVID-19 testing to Black churches is launching in San Diego. KPBS reporter Melissa May says it's a statewide call to action with a mission of saving lives.
So this is your test.
Okay.
You're gonna open it up?
New COVID testing sites are coming to Black churches across San Diego County, thanks to a partnership between the County Health Department, the Tabernacle Community Development Corporation, and the African American Community Empowerment Council. Reverend Judy Wortham is Tabernacle Development's Southern California director for the COVID-19 testing program. She says the Black community may be nervous to get tested, but these walk-up testing sites welcome all.
No need to make an appointment. No need to have health insurance. No need to be afraid to get tested at the one place trusted by African Americans, our Black churches.
Church leaders say Black churches are well positioned to inform the community about the importance of COVID-19 testing and to provide a known, safe space for accessing testing.
First dose or second dose? Second.
Bishop William A. Benson of the Total Deliverance Worship Center is grateful the church is seen as a valuable partner in fighting against COVID-19.
We have joined with such a marvelous group of professional individuals who are teaching us to rid the paranoias of fear of doctors and procedures.
Community-based testing remains a core strategy to reducing virus transmission and mortality.
We want to be healthy, we want our families to be healthy, we want our community to be healthy, and we definitely want our parishioners to be healthy.
3 new sites will open starting today at the Total Deliverance Worship Center, Bethel AME Church, and the Bayview Baptist Church. The program goal is to test 150 individuals daily at each location through June 31st. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Arson investigators are looking into what sparked a fire at a Mountain View home where 3 people were found dead. Flames and smoke were reported around 6:15 this morning at the house on South 38th Street between Superior Street and Franklin Avenue. Neighbors told firefighters that people were inside, and when crews forced their way in, they found 3 bodies. No information about the victims has yet been released. A bipartisan bill is in the works to try and solve the crisis at the southern border. The legislation would establish a $1 billion fund for the Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies. Together, they'll develop a plan to respond to the growing number of migrants crossing the U.S. and Mexico border. If passed, the funding could prevent children from being held in border custody for longer than they should. County jails are supposed to be places where people arrested and charged with crimes are held for a brief time while they make bail or await their day in court. But KPBS investigative reporter Claire Tregesser says in San Diego County, at least 380 people have spent more than a year in county jails.
I was fearful for his life.
Gina Burns is talking about her son Bernard, who's been in jail waiting for his trial to finish for almost 3 years.
Because you keep telling them that he needs help, this and that, and they just ignore it. They ignore it.
He's one of at least 380 people who have spent more than a year in San Diego jails, according to records obtained by the news organization Cal Matters. They're either waiting for their trials to begin or waiting for additional hearings or sentencing. But unlike the majority of defendants, they're doing that waiting not from home, but in jail. The records show that 3 people have been in San Diego jails for more than 5 years. 20 people have been in jail for more than 3 years.
These pretrial detentions can be absolutely devastating.
Michael Szymanczyk is the managing attorney for the California Innocence Project.
When you have sentenced somebody to prison in the past, there would be a yard, and there's educational opportunities, and there's jobs, and there's it's all kind of set up for longer term living, and the jails are just not set up for that. So thinking about keeping people in pretrial detention for these longer periods of time, it's not really meant for that purpose. And so you're really just kind of sitting around not able to do anything, and it's super detrimental.
In California, defendants have the right to a trial that begins within 60 days for a felony, 30 days for a misdemeanor. But according to the Cal Matters report, there are several reasons why people might wait in jail for much longer. Defense attorneys waive their clients' right to a speedy trial to get extra time to prepare, or stacked court schedules lead to delays. All of this has been exacerbated by the pandemic. Emergency orders allow judges to delay trial dates, and jury trials cannot be done virtually. Rachel Solov is a chief deputy district attorney for San Diego.
We had a period of time where the court was shut down completely for trials. And since the end of last year, we've been back doing trials, but it's slow going because we don't have as many courtrooms to do trials in as we did pre-COVID, because the COVID courtrooms, is what we call them, had to be retrofitted with safety features so that it was safe to actually do a trial in those courtrooms.
But the trial backlog could continue long into the future. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Another mass shooting, this time hitting closer to home. Investigators are still trying to piece together what led a gunman to kill 4 people at an office complex in Orange County. Police say the suspect knew the victims, either through business or personally. and then chained the gates to the complex closed before opening fire yesterday. The victims' identities haven't been released, but we do know that one was a 9-year-old boy. Today, the White House press secretary called it another example of the senseless gun violence that occurs all too frequently.
And underscores the need for legislation to expand background checks, something that's worked its way through the House that the president certainly supports, to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and remove liability protections for gun manufacturers. The president, there is an ongoing review of executive actions and something that he is certainly personally committed to.
Republicans in the Senate are expected to oppose the measures passed by the House, and as the debate over gun control continues, the FBI said 4 million Americans initiated background checks for gun purchases last month. That's a 36% increase from February, and a new record. It follows mass shootings in Atlanta, Georgia, and Boulder, Colorado. Emotional testimony in the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged with killing George Floyd. On day 4, the court heard details about Floyd's personal life from someone very close to him. Camila Bernal is in Minneapolis with more.
Tearful testimony from the girlfriend of George Floyd.
Floyd has this great, deep Southern voice, raspy.
For the first time, the courtroom heard about Floyd's life, from the person he dated for nearly 3 years until his death.
He asked me if he could get my number, and we had our first kiss in the lobby.
But they shared a struggle.
Floyd and I both suffered with an opioid addiction. It's a classic story of how many people get addicted to opioids. We both suffered from chronic pain. We got addicted and tried really hard to break that addiction many times.
It was your belief that Mr. Floyd started using again about 2 weeks prior to his death, correct?
I noticed a change in his behavior, yes.
The defense argues Floyd died from drug use and a heart condition, not from Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck. The former Minneapolis police officer was still restraining Floyd when paramedics arrived.
In lay terms, I thought he was dead.
After paramedics put Floyd in an ambulance, Chauvin defended his actions.
Gotta control this guy because he's a sizable guy.
In Minneapolis, Camila Bernal, KPBS News.
Many of California's 1,200 nursing homes morphed into COVID-19 death traps over the last year. KPBS's Amita Sharma says the alarming death rate has prompted a slew of state bills aimed at making the homes safer and their owners more accountable.
The majority of the deaths that occurred in nursing homes in California occurred in facilities that never should have been operating in the first place.
1 in 4 COVID-19 deaths in California were in nursing homes. Advocates say the blame rests on chronic understaffing, poor infection control, weak oversight, and opaque ownership that puts profits over people. Now, lawmakers have released a package of bills that, among other things, would stiffen penalties for nursing home misconduct, expand liability for patient rights violations, and mandate that owners be financially transparent.
This, to me, is our one shot at going big, of doing something comprehensive and sufficiently aggressive. The politics are not in our favor, typically. It took this level of outrage to actually build us the political space to move this kind of reform through, because these tragedies didn't just start with COVID. But on the heels of that crisis, we're going to try to make things right.
State lawmakers sponsoring the bills expect the nursing home industry to lobby hard against the reform package. Assemblyman Reginald Jones Sawyer says it's a fraught strategy.
I don't think the nursing home or the nursing facilities want to be in a position where they'll have to say that they don't want to provide better quality care for their patients. And so I'm battle worn. I've been battle tested. So I'm ready for the fight.
A statewide nursing home lobbying group declined comment. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
A shot in the arm today for Governor Gavin Newsom. The 53-year-old became eligible to get his COVID-19 vaccine now that the age requirement dropped to 50.
Today's an important day, obviously, with the opportunity now for people my age
that have been waiting, and I'm looking forward, have been looking forward to this for many, many months.
He got the Johnson & Johnson one shot at a clinic in the LA area. Newsom had promised to wait his turn like everyone else, and he plans to make the vaccine available to all Californians who are at least 16 in 2 weeks.
Just because you allow the access doesn't mean everybody can rush and get a reservation, can get scheduled to get the administration of the doses. And remember, our biggest constraint continues to be manufactured supply.
And if you want to find out more about when it's your turn and where to get your shot, head to kpbs.org. Just go to our homepage and then click on the Vaccines tab to find clinic locations as well as links to make an appointment. Some big news for a COVID-19 vaccine. Pfizer says new trial data gives a glimpse into how long its vaccine protection lasts and how effective it is against one highly contagious virus variant. Here's Mandy Gaither.
New numbers from Pfizer
is just, icing on the cake for good news.
The company says its ongoing phase 3 clinical trial of their coronavirus vaccine confirms its protection lasts at least 6 months after the second dose and appears to be fully effective against the concerning virus variant first identified in South Africa.
I would not be surprised at all if Moderna and other companies that did the same thing would get similar results.
And more good news, Pfizer also says its vaccine is well tolerated with an efficacy of 100% in those ages 12 to 15.
This is really important for getting back to school, but also for us reaching herd immunity as well.
The vaccine maker will submit the data to the FDA as soon as possible, hoping for an expanded emergency use authorization of the 2-dose vaccine.
I do think that there is a good chance that we'll be able to get the vaccines authorized in time for the start of school so that these older teens at least are able to get the vaccines by late summer, early fall.
A separate study of the Pfizer vaccine in children ages 6 months to 11 years launched last week. The company aims to enroll more than 4,600 children in the trial and expects results by the end of 2021. Ready?
Quick. All done.
Moderna is also testing its COVID-19 vaccine in adolescents and children in 2 clinical trials of children ages 12 to 17 and those ages 6 months to 11 years. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Americans who lost their jobs last year and have already filed their tax returns will have one less headache to deal with. The IRS will automatically recalculate their returns to account for the new stimulus tax break. That is on the first $10,200 of unemployment compensation received in 2020. Refunds will be sent directly to taxpayers starting in May. It's part of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that President Biden signed last month. April 1st is typically the day when Californians' snowpack is the deepest, but not this year, not even close. The Department of Water Resources says statewide the snowpack's snow water equivalent is just 16.5 inches, 59% of average this time of year. The northern and central Sierra, the snowpack is 70% of average thanks to a series of colder than usual storms. But rain is below 50% of average, which ties this year for the 3rd driest year on record.
After some scorching heat the last couple of days, we do have some cooler air working into Southern California thanks to an onshore flow that's going to be developing. And that means the marine layer is going to be coming back with some fog here the next couple of nights and early mornings. But even with some of that moisture, our rain chances are going to stay quite low here, even though we do need some rainfall because of how dry it has been. But it's not in the forecast for tonight. Just a couple of passing clouds. San Diego, we're dropping back to 57. Oceanside, 46 for us. Ramona, we're going to be into the mid-40s. El Cajon, 52, our overnight low temperature. We head into our Friday, and the overall setup isn't going to change. We still have this northward bump in the jet stream, keeping things dry and warm across the area. But with that onshore flow, it's going to knock those temperatures back about 10 to 15 degrees compared to where they've been the last several afternoons. That puts us right around 70 in San Diego. Borrego, still close to 80 in Ramona. Notice as you get into Borrego Springs, that's where the core of the heat is going to be. High temperatures in the low to mid 90s with some sunshine. Futurecast showing that marine layer along the coast for our Friday morning. Kind of moves a little farther away for the afternoon before it comes back in as we head into our Friday night and early Saturday morning. But again, the setup doesn't change through the holiday weekend. We still have this northward bump in the jet stream keeping things dry. The cooler air remains along the coast with the heat there across the interior deserts where temperatures are going to be about 10 to 20 degrees above normal. 5-day outlook for the coast, keeping that sunshine around each afternoon. Easter Sunday, a couple of clouds in the morning, high temperatures in the
And here's another look at today's top stories. Vaccinations are now open to Californians 50 and over, meaning an estimated 400,000 more San Diegans can now sign up for shots. But officials are warning that supply still isn't keeping up with demand, saying appointments will be hard to find. The good news is weekly vaccine allocations are up about 25%, and at the 30 or so county-sponsored sites, about 12,000 doses are going out every day. And it was an exciting opening day with the Padres kicking off the season with a win. And for the first time in over a year and a half, fans were back in the stands at Petco Park. Because of COVID restrictions, only 8,400 fans were allowed inside, and season ticket holders are getting priority. If the county advances into the orange tier, capacity will bump up to 33%. On this April Fool's Day, a local animal shelter pulled a lighthearted prank online. Helen Woodward Animal Center tweeted this picture, saying they're looking for homes for a group of pet rocks. That's right, pet rocks. There was even a link for people to fill out their information for a chance to adopt one of the rocks. Below, all other pictures are their names as well. But when you enter the form, they reveal that it's only a joke, but reminded people that they do still have plenty of adoptable animals available. That's a good one. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.